Welcome, everybody. This is Boris Schlossberg. Welcome to the Trading Battle, the only live internet trading show from across the world where we take no prisoners and trade anything and anything that moves. So I welcome everybody to the show, traders, prop traders, traders wannabe, degenerate traders, everybody across the world. We have an amazing show today. It's the Trading Battle Crypto Edition. And I have two very, very special guests. But before we start, it's imperative that all of you hit the like button, follow us, because there's money at the end of that trail. If you do that, you might be eligible for a free $500 account from our sponsor, 8cap. If you do the same thing on social media like Instagram and follow us there, you'll also be eligible. So make sure it's worth your time, it's worth your money to be following us, to subscribe to us, because there's potentially a $500 account free for you to win if you do that. So hit the button and make sure that you tell this to all your friends, because even if you don't get the account, maybe your friend will, and they'll share the good fortune with you. In the meantime, I have an amazing show today with you. I have really a super fun show on the crypto side. From ASFX, I have Austin Silver on one side. Hey, Austin, how are you?
It's good to be here, Boris. Good to see you.
Hey, great. So we got Austin's audio. This is the first most important trade of the day, is to make sure the audio is working. And all the way from the other side of the globe, James Bruce, who looks like, as I was saying to him, he looks like a homeboy from Florida, but he actually is a South African sitting on a golf course a million miles away from us, enjoying the world. How are you guys? Good to see you. Hi, James. Give us a hello.
What's up, Boris? Good to be here.
Very good.
We're pumped,
Great.
Boris. We're pumped.
Super. Audio is better out of South Africa than it is out of Florida today. So good to see you guys. We have a really interesting show today. We're obviously going to focus on crypto, which has been very much in the news. If you follow the markets, we've had enormous amount of volatility, incredible movements up and down. Of course, all of them driven by the terrible Russia-Ukraine conflict. But I think I kind of want to start with the single most important question that everybody is sort of grappling with right now. Is crypto finally becoming a real store of value? What do you think, Austin?
I think that the digital asset space has a lot of room to grow in that direction of becoming a store of value, but I don't think it can ever, at least from my perspective, because I like to react to everything. It's something trading taught me. I don't like to forecast things. I don't see in the near future, at least, Bitcoin or some crypto asset replacing what we would call like hard money, real stores of value, gold, silver, commodities, things like that. So to me, yes, there's a future for it. And yes, we could be heading into that future, but the timeline is very vague. You know what I mean? I don't know. Okay. And I'm not deep in the crypto space enough to really give a solid answer on that.
What about you, James? Do you think it's becoming a store of value?
So I'd like to also echo on that. But last week, I think the reason behind my thought process is last week, Thursday, when, everything started, shit started to hit the fan with Russia starting to invade. Yeah. I think cryptos and everything like that, I think Bitcoin was down about 8%. Cryptos were just tanking, whereas gold was up was just ripping. So I think that like proved where the store of value actually is, the more stable asset.
Let me play a little devil's advocate. So that was the story on Thursday, right? That was the story on Thursday with crypto, because in crypto, we all know, was essentially trading as a risk asset, right? In other words, the fear was there's no liquidity, everybody's going to run to bonds, money's going to get pulled, everybody's going to have to liquidate everything they can because stocks were selling off, everybody was freaking out. So crypto got sold and Bitcoin got sold, and that was the view of the charts. Then this is what's interesting to me about what happened in the market. We literally froze all Russian assets. We literally, the Central Bank of Russia had $600 billion on their balance sheet, and now they have nothing because they can't use any of that money. And that means that anybody who's Russian, who has rubles, the ruble incinerated. Somebody there is a very funny Twitter account, Doug Bonepath. Maybe some of you guys follow him. He's he's kind of a crypto comedian, and he made this meme yesterday. He goes, "Man, there's some really crappy crypto coins like this ruble, It's down to 20% of its real value.
Right. It was acting like a crypto. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It was acting right. It was acting. But here's my point. So the moment Russians, heard that their money was essentially burnt, you saw Bitcoin just catch an unrelenting bid. And frankly, nobody's more of a skeptic than I am of crypto. But that was the first time in the marketplace where I was genuinely impressed that the asset was acting as a store of value. And of course, it's digital, it's portable, it's fungible. It's much easier for a Russian to take whatever money he's got and buy crypto on the exchange than to be lugging a brick of gold, across the border. So maybe it really is becoming
and if
something
anything,
different than what it used to be.
you had yesterday being one of the biggest bullish bars that we've had in a long time. So maybe coming out of this, as there is so much uncertainty, you will find people looking for that quote unquote digital safe haven. Everything we're going towards in life right now is technology. Technology is going to change the world way more in the next 10 years than it has in the previous 10. And people understand that. So I think they're going beyond just the traditional gold and silver, even though it, like James said, it still is doing better. The digital asset is still going to be, in my opinion, the preferred, especially from the younger generation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. Like, I'm looking at gold right now. I mean, it's doing well. It's holding 1900 bit, but it's not like it's like we're ripping to 2000. It's
right. It's so strange to me how through all of the inflation stuff that we've dealt with, and through all of the uncertainty in the world that I'm living through the one time that precious metals are not ripping. I'm missing the time when silver went from 4 to 17. You know what I mean? It's just so weird to me.
I think you're just biased because your last name is Silver. That's why you like
You're funny. You're funny.
Anyways, guys. The point of our show is trading, and I want to get to trading. Our first challenge of the day is trade trend. Okay. So both of you guys are trend traders, from what I understand, right? You guys like to trade with the trend. Is that true, James?
Yeah, correct, 100%.
Yes. Okay. So the challenge should be interesting for both of you. You're going to choose any one of the crypto assets. We're going to let Austin run first, and then choose your preferred trend indicator, and then make me a trade. So I'm going to let Austin make a trade, then I'm going to let James make a trade, and then we'll go back and we'll see why and how you guys decided to make your decisions. So what opening plays to you, Austin? What do you want to trade with what indicator?
So I've got one pulled up for you that I was actually marking up for a new technical strategy that I'm working on developing. I got to do a lot of back testing for it, but I wanted to start with this. So I'm using 3 EMAs right here. I'm using an 8 EMA. If you guys, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see it. We see it.
Cool. I have an 8 EMA in yellow, a red 21 EMA, and then this blue 50 EMA. So they're kind of my 3 go-to indicators for trend on a short term. On a higher time frame, I'm going to look at a 200 or an 800 to give me even more substance. But for this new strategy, I'm looking for these shorter term plays to catch some of those volatile rips that we were talking about.
Is this a daily? What's the timeline?
This is a 15-minute chart of Cardano, ADA.
Okay, 15 minutes. So okay. So are you going to go long Cardano? You're long Cardano?
I'm not long Cardano, but I wanted to. This is from yesterday. I wanted to show you how it kind of developed and how I found the trend here. So if we just take a look at the previous couple of days, we can kind of see a strong level set in back on the 25th. So we can kind of box this off. What I like to do is just use zones instead of significant like lines. I don't like to say price is one zone. You know what I mean? I look for the
No, I agree. Many traders on the show do that. So it makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah. So as I'm seeing the higher lows off this zone and seeing the bullish momentum, like you said, over the last week or so dump into crypto and the potential for crypto to see some type of a bounce, that's what kind of fed this idea. But one other thing I should show you before I play this out off this short-term trend, because the higher lows here and the higher highs are what fed the idea. The stop loss being set here with this most recent higher low, and off the 21 EMA is where I'm looking for that long opportunity. Now, this one played out really well. So let me just show you really quick. If I go through, you can see it takes a little bit of time, but yesterday it really picked up clean trend. And then into today, if I fast forward like this, you'll see overnight it really picked up. Now, this was fed by Bitcoin. All of these other coins, in my opinion, move off of Bitcoin. So when we look at the daily time frame on Bitcoin, just to get off the 15-minute, we saw very, very strong support. If I move this down here at about 34,000, I would use this pin here and this would be my zone of support. Seeing that and knowing that we held this level previous back here early 2021, mid 2021, I'm very bullish at this price because I also know, bringing some fundamentals into it, that there's liquidation prices for some of these big holders of Bitcoin down here. So there's going to be a lot of buying in there. So the buying on Bitcoin, the uncertainty with the Ukraine feeds the bullish bias that you can then take to Cardano or any other, honestly, a lot of these other altcoins and kind of look for trades in that long bias direction using the EMAs and then that fundamental aspect.
So just a question on the 21, when you said you buying 21, what is the entry criteria in your structure?
So what I'm looking at for this is in a bullish trend where the 8 EMA is above the 21 EMA and price action also moving in a bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows. I'm looking to buy it on a short break, a downside break of the 21 with a stop loss at the most recent higher low, or if we're shorting it, the lower high. And that's like the back tested idea that I'm going for is basically think about it. If we're looking to buy, I want the lowest price possible. So where can I sometimes find that? It's on the 21 EMA. I'm traditionally, if I showed you some of my Forex trades, I'm trading off a candle formation off the 21 EMA, which still can work. That would have me long something like this up here. But now my risk reward is not as great because my stop loss is bigger. So I'm actually kind of going within my previous system that I've been using for the last couple of years and finding this 21 EMA idea.
Right. So you're buying the retrace to the EMA.
Exactly. Exactly.
And just letting it go. What was the in this Cardano trade that you had traded yesterday? What was the risk reward? It looks like a very good risk reward. It's like a 1 to 3, 1 to 4.
Even just going to the high, the previous high right here.
Yeah.
Because that's ideally where you're going. It's 2.5 R. That's great. I'll take 2.5 R all the time, especially if on a strategy that's winning 6 out of 10 trades. Take that.
Yeah. No, of course.
And one other thing that I've been doing with this idea that's been helpful is I'm still back testing, so still gathering a lot of data, but I'm finding that once they go 1 R, I'm taking profit, locking my stop. It's risk-free. If it wants to rip 6 R, I'll make still some of that nut, even though I've already taken profit. But if it wants to turn against me because I'm still testing this, I'm risk-free.
But okay. So this is where it gets really tricky. I mean, it's easier said than done.
Of course.
You take the 1 R, right? You take the 1 R. Yep. And then do you just like I'm either 6R or break even? Is it like because there is no way to
for sure you'll never know where it's going to go.
There's no way to manage the second piece. You kind of have to go for broke because the market is going to be very, very wavy, or you have to just simply get out at 2R, 3R on the second one. So what do you do?
So my strategy will be on, let's say, what we would call an A setup, a really great setup compared to a B setup or a C setup. I'm going to hit that with a little bit more size than the B or C setup. And I'm also going to let that run a little bit longer before I start to take profit. On a C setup or one of these new ideas, take profit at 1R, stop loss locked. Cut half the position at 2R, cut half the position at 3R. So I'm here at the desk.
Half of the second lot. So now you're only quarter long. Then you go 3 on, and you basically you scale out. Scale out
until it turns against me and breaks the 21 or does something that.
No, that's good. It's excellent practice. I hope everybody's listening to this. These are really, really simple, clean, very effective techniques. They don't require massive calculation on the fly. You take 1 R. You take 1 R, then you take half R at 2R, and by scaling out like that, you're not going to get the full exponential move, but you're going to get a very nice parabolic catch. All right, James been waiting very patiently, my friend. Talk to us. What's your? So sorry, I didn't get it. You were talking about Cardano, but like, what's the trade of the day today? Like, what's the trend that you wanted to?
Oh, Bitcoin, man. Bitcoin was the missed buy opportunity this morning. I was sitting there watching it and I missed it. So
we're long Bitcoin. Okay, so actually, I'm sorry, James, one more second. Let's talk to Austin for a second. Let's look at Bitcoin. Just tell us where you think the reasonable stop is on what time frame you're looking at here. So let me start. Can you guys see my screen still? So yesterday, just to kind of go over that 21 EMA break idea, yesterday we had a long signal at about 4:45, 5 in the morning. It breaks the 21 EMA to the downside. This is Bitcoin. While that 8 EMA is above the 21, the stop loss on this idea would be the previous higher low, which is down here on this pin. So we can drop stop there. And that's the move that actually kind of catapults you forward to the upside yesterday. You're actually able to capitalize on that. So now that we've extended so far, what I'm looking at today is this. I would box off this pin right here. Right.
This would be my zone. I am going to be looking for buys today off the 21 EMA back around 44,000, 41,000. That's where I think the next play is.
Okay. And would the stop be that pin over there at around the 430 mark on your chart?
Exactly. Right around the bottom of this box would be where we would look to put a stop.
The bottom of the box. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So that's the trade from you. Long Bitcoin, long and strong. Okay. What about you, James? What are you thinking?
Cool. So obviously, with Austin and I trade very similar patterns, obviously, and strategies. Obviously, him being the guy that actually brought me to my consistency. But I'm going to be looking at a different pair today. I'm going to be looking at crypto. I'm going to be looking at Ethereum. So the thing I like about Ethereum, I'm also trading off the 50-minute time frame mostly. Looking to buy off EMAs actually also, but also I'm using this TDI indicator. So this is called the TDI indicator, Traders Dynamic Index. And basically on the technical side of things, I'm looking for buys today because this yellow line gives me my market sentiment line, and obviously we long today with obviously EMAs.
James, let me just stop you over there because many people are not familiar with the Traders Dynamic Index. Can you just tell us what the green line, the red line, the yellow line mean, and what how do you read it?
100%. So the green line is your RSI. So it's your relative strength index. The red line is a trend line. It's just a moving average that it pulls data from price. And the yellow line is known as my market sentiment line. That gives me my bias. So if the market sentiment line is above 50 for the day, I'm looking for buys. If it's below the 50 value, obviously I'm looking for shorts.
Huh. So you have RSI, you have a moving average. Now, the interaction of the three of them, does it matter? How do you interpret like if they're like green, red, both green and red are above the yellow, which are above the 50? Is that a super bullish?
So
signal?
I trade a breakout pattern that if the green line RSI, the green RSI is above the liquid 50 on the breakout pattern, that is a very good indication that we can move higher. And obviously, if I'm shorting, I'd like it to be below.
You could really see that on the charts. That looks really good. Like, let's go. So you have this one move that was a breakout here today, like around, I guess, right over there, right over here. And then let's go. Can you go backwards a little bit? Let's just look.
Maybe even over here on the 26th of Feb over here, here's another breakout. Maybe this one didn't work. You wouldn't have probably got 1R on it, so that one wouldn't have worked. But here's another one. But then again, this market sentiment line dipped into the sell zone, so that shows a kind of like a indecision between buyers and sellers.
Would you have would you have gone short? So on this is like, I guess 26th, 27th. You see where the red line is the RSI, the green line is the RSI. I'm sorry, green line is the RSI, right?
Yeah.
So green line breaks very sharply through the market sentiment line.
Sure.
Would that be, that would seem to me like that's an interest, because a lot of people are caught long. That's a strong short signal. For me, sure, 100%. People probably are obviously at the zone here. This was the. You also got a double top there.
Yeah. Yep, it's like the daily high, so obviously coming off the zone as well. But for me, it's obviously being a trend trader, it's obviously very tough to short into EMAs as well, because I use the EMAs and the TDI in confluence with each other.
I see. Yeah. So for you, basically, if the EMAs are to the long side, you just ignore all the short signals and just look for a long signal off the TDI to confirm. And once you have that, you get long. So looking at ETH, I mean, I know everybody missed the signals. All the signals were just a little bit back. Yeah. But what would you do now? Like, would you since you're a breakout trader, you've had the breakout. You're going to get to be we're going to make you a chase trader at this point. We're going to do
So maybe that's what I was thinking. So obviously now, ideally, I'm trading off the 50-minute time frame. So I would ideally be looking for a pullback, because trading off the ATMA for me is pretty tough. That's kind of overextended. There's got to be a pullback once it's extended out off the ATMA. But if you're looking for me to be a chase trader today, I'll be looking on the high time frames, maybe the 1 hour. I was having a look on Ethereum as well. It's kind of broken through this 800 EMA, bounced around for a bit, consolidated, and now it's finally breaking out of the 8 again. So maybe if I was looking to take a trade right now, my stop would be underneath this 800 EMA on the 1 hour time frame.
Okay. Let's take a look at your chart. Are you sharing your chart? Okay. So this is the hourly. We're now looking at the hourly.
Correct.
Looks good on the hourly too. So what would you you're looking for any pullback to the 8 EMA?
Well, on the hourly, if I had to take it now, I could have even got in on this candle here or this candle over here. So maybe something similar, something like this.
Buy the 3,000. It broke the 3,000. Buy it. It's going higher. Just buy it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna put you into the trade. Yeah, and just we'll make you have a longer stop. But
yeah, I'll have to give it a bit of a longer stop. Yep.
Right. I mean, I know it's not ideal because we force trades. By the way, it's a really good example of everybody who's watching. So you have a great strategy, right? But the signal has passed. And I think all of us have been there where it's like, oh, the signal has passed, but you love, it looks really, really strong. And you're like, oh, I don't care. It's not the optimal entry. I'm just going to go in and plow myself into the trade. Usually a very bad idea. At least, I mean, it's been a bad idea for me almost always. I wonder how you guys feel about that. How do you feel about that, Austin?
I feel like it's something, like you said, that just holds a lot of us back. And I think there's so many pieces that go into why we end up in that position. Where I think you can solve it quickly is a lot of people get into trading to make money, and they think that they have to trade to make money. So they have to be in a lot of these trades, which leads to that forcing maybe taking a later trade like this. If you could instead, have, for some people, supplemental income or other savings to live off of, especially when you get started, you'll hopefully avoid a lot of those forced trades. And I think the lack of funds, lack of capital makes people chase trades, pushes people to kind of go against the wall. And that's where they go crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. That's actually a very good idea. I just thought it was just pure FOMO. At least it is.
It is. The FOMO, but what's the FOMO fed by? The FOMO is fed by, of course, fear. But fear of what? It's not just fear of missing a move. What does that translate to? To me, it says, if you're afraid of missing a move, you're afraid of not making money. Well, let's solve the money problem somewhere else, and let's just trade a good strategy whenever that presents, Because listen, when we do our back testing, my strategy, it's a winning strategy to about 60-something%, 60 to 70%. The strategy still, we have periods where you'll have 6 losses in a row we tested like last month, we were doing testing on GU, 6 in a row. If you came in and you took those 6 losses, you think you're going to stay with the strategy past that? Right. No, at some point you're going to go FOMO and you're going to go do something crazy because people want to make money. So they'll quickly drop the strategy instead of having that bigger data-driven picture. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. James, both you and Austin trade on a 15-minute chart. Right, which I find kind of interesting. Why that sweet spot? What do you find attractive about that time frame?
So for me, I found that the 50-minute is very good indication of the intraday bias. So for us, that is where we found we always like to buy roundabout at the 50 EMA on the 50-minute time frame. So using
where 50 EMA?
Yeah, the 50 EMA on the 50-minute time frame. That's where we're looking to get in and look for our bars or sells, obviously.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
For day trading, I think the 15-minute it works well. The 1 minute is super fast. The 1 hour is too slow. So between the 5-minute and the 15-minute, it was kind of one of those two. And where I was, we all are introduced into trading from a different perspective. The guys in the videos that I watched, they pushed the 15-minute. So it just became something that I started to use and fell in love with and started to test, So
I have some thoughts on that. I think it's true probably for crypto, which is what I would call a medium volatility asset. I mean, I know that it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a high volatility asset, but let's just take ETH, right? ETH is going to go 100, 200 points a day max, right? On a 3,000 point move. So in that sense, 15 minutes is probably the perfect sweet spot. But you go to the 15 minute on FX and, it's dead money. Like I generally cannot get really good signals until I'm on an hour. Now, take it completely the other way around. If you're trading NASDAQ like I do all day long, I'm sitting on a 1 minute chart all day long, or US 30, because I have a 400 point range or a 600-700 point range in US 30. A minute chart is more than enough time to make 10-15 points, which is what you're scalping for. But
exactly.
10-15 points in the euro could take 10 years.
Right. But let me just to that point, to James's indicator that he went over the TDI. The reason why I think a lot of people are catching on to the TDI, it's becoming super popular, is because in Forex especially, it will help you identify which pairs are trending versus which pairs are chopping. Like today, we had a great short trade on GCAD. I've been short EuroCAD since yesterday. Those types of moves can happen when you find a pair that's in trend. And that TDI, specifically that market sentiment line, does a really good job at giving you the trend. So when you can, if you go look at Euro AUD or EuroCAD over the last Euro AUD the last 2 weeks, almost every day you have a perfect selling market sentiment line on the 15-minute, which is just telling us we're looking for short signals as high as we can get them. And we're going to look to let that trend ride. Like that's how I'm still in the trade overnight because of my scaling out thing. I'll still be in it if it keeps falling with a very small piece. I have a very small piece still in, but it'll still carry that trend. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So, the beautiful thing about the trading battle is I get to steal ideas all day long.
Please.
And today I wrote down TDI. It's going on my charts.
You will love it. You will love it.
Apply it now and look up. I'm sure you probably guys have some videos on that. I'll probably look up your videos on YouTube.
Yeah. I would love to hear your feedback on it too. I'm curious to know what you think.
Because any tool that can help you
of course
distinguish trend is really, really useful. Now, before we get to challenge number 2, both of you guys are prop trading, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before the show, we're talking about how you passed your prop trading challenge.
Yeah.
And Austin had a super interesting way of doing it. He basically he took crypto, which is a massively volatile asset, and effectively traded it cash on cash, meaning no leverage. Because remember, in any kind of a prop trading challenge, you have to make 10% on your money without losing more than 4 to 5%. They vary, but that's basically the formula. You got to make twice your money without losing half of it, and you got to do it in a usually a fixed amount of time. So, can you talk a little bit about how you did it, and then maybe James can tell me about how he did, his passing of the challenge? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say what led me to doing it was being open-minded and looking to James and saying, okay, James was funded in 2021. Like James did well in his trading and he quickly took the first funding challenge and passed it. And then he started to stack these funding accounts. So I'm watching him do that over a year and I'm not doing it. And I'm still just whacking my own capital and I'm growing and it's fine, but it's not as big as it could have been. So at one point I was like, he's telling me we can get crypto payouts. We can trade crypto. I'm like, I got to check this out. That was just me being open-minded enough to then let that opportunity come to me. And then I started to really see, the strategies I'm using in Forex, they present over here. And when Bitcoin rips, it rips. So if I need to make 8% in 30 days or 10% in 30 days, I'm not going to have a huge amount of success in the Forex game doing that. But if I go to crypto where I could catch a Bitcoin 2% rip in a day, that's going to really make a big difference. So as long, and that kind of was like, combine that with my survival mindset of like proper risk management and just stay alive for 30 days. Bitcoin gave it to me because it's been so volatile and it's consistently volatile. It has slow days, but it's pretty volatile. So it helps.
I mean, within a 30-day period, like if you sort of, if you look at, I forget what it's called. It's the, when you count every single percent move, like a serpentine, it's like to use a bad analogy, it's like a human intestine. It's just, it's sort of like, if you count the actual movement of Bitcoin is probably a couple of 100%. During that day. It may only move 5-10% at the end of the month, but it's going up and down in such massive ranges. So, James, talk to us about you, since you were, trader number 1 on the prop side. What was your strategy? How did you manage to pass that?
Sure. So I was trading my own personal capital and private investor capital, and then I moved and I saw that once I started to get my hands on more capital via private investors, etc., I saw that that the more capital you have, obviously the more money you can make, right? So I was like, well, if these prop firms, if I can pass a prop firm challenge and I can get my hands on 300,000-400,000 US and I'm making 2%, 3% of that a month, that's just extra capital that I can add to my personal trading account and continue to grow that way. So that was my base, my theory behind it.
But how did you, what techniques did you use to achieve your funding? Because it's, only about 1% of traders even pass those tests. So what was it? What was your secret to your success?
I think I had been consistent for at least over. I was consistent for at least over a year and a half before even taking a test. So it's not like I was taking the test off the cuff, So I think that was the first one, and then also the second one was I knew who I was as a trader at that point because I knew what I do well. I knew what I struggled with, and I know that I'm a slightly more aggressive trader. maybe than the average, maybe than maybe a more conservative trader. So I'm a little bit more aggressive as well. So I felt that played into my favor as well. With these prop challenges, you do have to be slightly more on the aggressive side because you've got that time limit, right?
By aggressive, you mean you're comfortable with size. You'll do
Yeah,
size.
he'll put more size on. I think James, I think he wants to know like the tactics. Like so the A1, the D1, the entries that we use, I think is what he's looking for more of.
Okay.
Right, Boris?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just I'm trading the 3 patterns, but I focus mostly on our 2, our in-trend moves. So we got the D1, which is obviously a pullback where we look for buys or sells at the 50 EMA, and our breakout patterns. I think on a couple of the challenges that I did take, about 2 breakout trades that went about 3, 4, 5 R. So you get those rips.
And was that an FX or what instrument did you catch the R's?
I did trade FX, purely FX, to pass those challenges. But now that Austin's kind of opened my mind up, I am looking at indices and Bitcoin and crypto in the last couple of months.
Once we get you into indices, you'll never go back. You know, it's the crack.
I've heard that. Yeah. Lots of people do get into indices and then they just.
So in my trading room, Kathy trades FX and I trade indices live. And the moment any of her little FX fiends come into my trading room, they never leave. They're like, forget it. because
did you know one of the most popular instruments? Yeah, one of the most popular instruments for people to get funded to pass these funding challenges, it's to trade indices. Gold and indices are super popular with the funded traders. So, and I know those are your 2 things, Boris.
Exactly. A lot of fun. So time is short, so we're going to come up to challenge number 2. Now, this is an interesting challenge because it's a double or nothing challenge. You got to either if you like your position, double it up. Like both of you guys talk about being aggressive. And remember, you got to trade. You're trading to win here because you're trading for good charities. We'll talk about your charities in a little bit. Or you do nothing. It's kind of like let the other guy get blown up. Let's go to James first and see. So how do you feel about your ETH? Do you want to double up on that position?
I'm gonna double. I've already executed the first position on my phone. I'm gonna double up. So I'm gonna add to my position.
That's my boy. I love James is Mr. Aggressive. Good for you. Size. He's the size king. Okay, so James is doubling up his ETH. Obviously, we're gonna let these positions run for a while. So they may settle within a day or 2, or maybe even a couple of days. But it's interesting. He's basically the bottom line today is ETH is about 3. We haven't seen ETH about 3 in a while. It's a big breakout. It's a big round number. Crypto really trades well around round numbers. Many of the FX traders I've had on the show have told me that basically crypto is the new FX. All the old tricks we used to use in FX, which no longer work in FX because FX is basically a very boring algo-driven dealer-based market, really work well on crypto, which still remains to be a very sentiment-driven market. So good luck with that. What about you on Bit?
Bitcoin's pulling back right now, so I'm going to double down on Bitcoin too. I got to. This is a good price to be looking at. Like I was saying,
better plus, 100%.
So what I find fascinating about you guys, although I think Austin is probably more so of this type of trader. There are really 2 types of traders. There is the retrace trader and there's the breakout trader. Just like there's only really 2 strategies. There's the continuation strategy or a mean reversion strategy. Everything else is just tactics in trading. So it sounds like James is the guy who likes, he likes the breakouts. He likes the continuation trade. He'll ride the breakout. You, on the other hand, love the retrace because as long as you're confident in the overall direction of the trend, you love to buy cheap so that you can.
That's it. And it's a new perspective that I'm putting towards my trading in the last couple of years of really trying to be a trend trader and not trying to. Really, like I said at the beginning, I'm super focused on reacting, not forecasting. As this pushes down, a reaction would be to sell it, but a forecast would be to sell it because it's coming down short term. But if you take a zoom out for a second and know that we're bullish over the last 2 days, know that we're bullish on the EMAs, bullish on the TDI, the buying, in my opinion, is the proper direction. So you would rather see it close like right here on the 21. This is great. And being able to buy here with a stop at the previous higher low, that's where we're going to be able to look for that lower price to ride the uptrend. And one of the strategies we have is the A1, like James mentioned, and that is more of a breakout strategy. So it's funny you say there's really only 2 ways. We've got the A1 with the breakout and our D1 is the pullback. Using this 15-minute, we'll be able to come to a significant level, go to the actual 1 minute, find divergence in the direction of overall trend, and use that divergence structure for an entry and a stop loss, similar to what I'm doing here. So we'll use bullish or bearish divergence on a lower time frame to get in at that 50 EMA if we know we're going to probably see a move up based on other indicators like the TDI and stuff like that. But I'm doubling down. I'm putting a Bitcoin position on the account right now.
Look, it's the bind a dip here. Yeah, your strategies sound like they're highway names in UK. The A1, the G1. I'm like, which exit? You guys should say exit here, exit there, entry here, and just keep up with the metaphor. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's very, very good. So, the journey to trading, I'm sure, has been full of adventure for both of you. Let's ask James first. Like, how has your journey to trading been? Like, what's been your worst trading experience, and what have you learned from it in the past? Can you tell me? Everybody talks about glory, but let's talk about pain, because that's what sometimes a lot more illustrative. So, what was your worst trade that you did?
Sure. So, my trading experience, I started end of 2018, and I started by myself, for about a year and a half, year before finally joining Austin. And that's where I kind of found my consistency. But before joining Austin, I actually so this was my worst painful experience. I placed a trade and I ended up losing $20,000 on one trade. So that was quite a learning experience. No stop loss. I didn't know what that was when I first got into trading, that sort of thing. So obviously after
what was the instrument? What were you trading?
It was pound dollar.
Oh, the pound dollar is the graveyard of every that ever existed. There is no trade, or there is no strategy that the pound dollar will not destroy. Absolutely. I have a very good friend, Ragi Horner, who's trader forever, and she runs a futures trading room, and literally her one rule in life is to never trade the pound dollar, because and I think if I were to amass all the losses of my life in FX, like 90% of them would be in pound dollar or pound dollar derivatives, whether it be euro pound on the slow side,
that's crazy,
or pound on the upside. Literally no trade ever, because I think the thing about the pound dollar that people just can't understand is that no matter how bad it gets, it will always get worse. That's what people don't understand about pound dollar. Would you say that's true, James?
Yep. That was obviously a very good learning experience, and one that I'll never forget. But when you think it can't get worse, it can. So drop the ego, and that's what I learned. Right. Drop the ego. You can never be right all the time.
Right, exactly. How about you, Austin? What was sort of like your nightmare
Yeah, I would just say the whole first 18 months of getting into trading, I had such a bad intro into trading through the I came into Forex trading through the multi-level marketing space, unfortunately, through companies that we're not going to mention.
That's like a sin upon sin upon sin. I mean,
I know.
So the only worst thing you could have done was, like gone to Vegas and rented a motorbike without a helmet,
Right. Yeah. So I came in through that, which did not teach me proper risk management or account management or anything. So the whole first 18 months, I'm using high leverage, funding small accounts, and just blowing them out one trade at a time with no understanding of what I was doing. And it took the study of other successful traders to change my perspective on trading. And it took a long time. The period of time that I'm talking about, Boris, when I was struggling, it's funny that I'm talking to you about this, because I came to your money show talk back in New York City at Times Square, like 2018, 2019, 2017. Yeah, 16 maybe, way back. Like this is way back. And that was a period of time where I was inconsistent, just trying to learn as much as I could from guys like you, guys that had figured out a way to make money in markets before me. And I think that the losses in the first year and a half that I had were over 30 grand. It was all the money that I had thrown in was just gone. And then I looked at that and said, am I going to eat that loss and move on from trading and give up on this? Or am I going to use that as my tuition and keep going till I figure this out? And I have a very passionate personality. So here I am.
Yeah, no, I think anybody who trades successfully is just a really stubborn son of a gun
Yeah.
person. I think if the only, traders are all different styles, different things, but I think the only unifying factor I've seen across successful traders is basically irrational stubbornness, because that's what it requires. Given the amount of challenges and given the amount of disappointments, that we've all been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, especially, so what, how, did you go to break even first? And were you like sort of a break even trader for about a year before you finally did? How was the transition? How was the transition for you?
Exactly. So over the course of that next year, I started to develop, and refine, I guess you could call it, the first strategy I had, the A1 strategy. And as I started to do well with that and recoup the gains, that's when people saw what I was doing on Snapchat and Instagram. And I was sharing all this stuff on social media. And that started to attract people to want to learn what I was doing. Because at that time, no one was trading Forex that I knew. No one, especially in America, was talking about that in my age. So I was like, that, like you said, that stubborn, rebellious kind of thing. But one other comment I just want to add, when you say the stubbornness, I totally agree. But I think stubbornness can actually be a bad trait too for traders. I think about like one of the mistakes that I was doing at this time was I was moving my stop loss. Instead of just getting stopped out and taking the loss, I was stubborn to the point where I wanted to be right more than I would just admit that I was wrong and take the loss. So stubbornness is a good and a bad thing. You got to know how to balance it. It takes time.
No, stubbornness in the pursuit of the goal,
in the drive, that determination,
in the execution of goal.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. There's two different stubbornness. One is very destructive. One is actually constructive.
Exactly.
How about you, James? I know you hooked up with Austin, and he was the one that taught you the basic setups. What was your journey? So you traded without stops. You were typical. Let me just explore this universe and get slapped around a little bit. But then once you glommed on to Austin's ideas and you made them your own. Well, how did you make them your own? What was your journey?
So I was playing actually professional rugby. I was on a 3 year.
Oh, really?
Yep, I was playing professional rugby for 3 years for the Sharks here in Durban, South Africa. And after that, I bust my knee up and I tore my ACL and meniscus in my left knee. And that's actually how I got into trading, because I needed to keep. I'm very like my friends say, I got ADHD. I got to keep myself busy, And trading looked very interesting, and and I was studying my BCom. I got a BCom financial management degree. So it was something that interested me. And then I found Austin after finally a year and a half of struggling. I was like, I can't do this by myself. Let me just put money in good, solid education in the markets. But how I made it my own is that I think that Austin and I might trade with the same indicators, same technical analysis, but each person is different. I think that what I did is I really zoned in on looking at using the 50-minute as my basis, but I started to use the 1 minute and the 5 minute a lot as well. On top of that, especially using in conjunction with the 8 and 21 EMAs.
So when you look at the 1 minute, the 5 minute, is it just for confirmation, or do you actually enter on the 1 minute, 5 minute these days?
So it's actually my entries on the 1 minute and the 5 minutes.
Now you're playing in my field. Okay, so you start, and that's why you got more aggressive, because you're in early, you're pressing the trade, you're pushing it. So it's interesting, super interesting. Yeah, I totally agree that nobody can teach you trading. People can teach you trading concepts and trading ideas. You have to make trading your own. Very much, it's relative to your personality and relative to your style. I absolutely agree with that. With that point. We're coming up to the end of the challenge, and I wanted to make sure that we have time. So let's do our third challenge today. The third challenge is sort of the best short-term trade for the week ahead amongst all the cryptos that you guys have a chance to look at. What looks best to you? Let's take a look at. Let's ask Austin first of all. Let's see what he's thinking about.
I mean, I could give you a couple ideas. I'm looking at Dogecoin actually right now at 13 cents, up 1 point today. Yep. So let me play this out for you. Why this might be a good short-term trade? We're seeing the bullish momentum on Bitcoin. We know that can carry altcoins, Dogecoin being one of them. I do like the level that we're coming off of as well on Cardano. This is on the daily time frame, coming through the 21. to see if we'll now hold this 21, maybe close around here and continue to the downside. So Cardano maybe downside. Dogecoin, I'm leaning towards catching some of this bullish Bitcoin momentum, because now on Bitcoin, as long as today stays somewhat bullish, we're getting an 8 and 21 cross on the daily. That's a pretty good sign that we're going to see some short-term momentum to the upside. And if Bitcoin takes out 46, 47,000, there's not a lot of resistance up to 52. Bitcoin goes to 52, Doge might go from 13 to 16. 13 to 17, something like that, to test this previous lower high here. So that's my idea. I think would be bullish across the board for sure, but specifically I'm looking at Doge for a play to the upside. Let's see Litecoin. Litecoin not as much, showing a little resistance today. I like this Polkadot through the 21 yesterday. That might come higher. I just am very bullish right now, like you said, with uncertainty and everything like that. So I would take any one of these long. If we're looking for a short-term play, I would be long Dogecoin with a stop under 12 cents in at 13.5. Take that to 16 or 17.
Plus, Elon Musk gave satellite internet communication to Ukraine.
I saw that.
So it's got to be positive for Dogecoin.
You can only log into the satellite in Ukraine if you use Dogecoin. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think he's doing it for free. He's actually like this. I've been a big critic of his for a lot of things, but that was really one of the great things he did. So props to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, sounds good. How about you, James? What are you looking at on the?
So Boris, I'm going to be stubborn and I'm going to double down again on my Ethereum.
I love this guy. All right.
The reason why I like that is because I'm on the 1 hour. Obviously, very bullish on cryptos at the moment because of as Orson noted, the uncertainty in the market and that, and just obviously the technicals, purely on a technical basis as well. What I like about Ethereum is that it's broken this 800 through with a body over here on the 1 hour, and now it looks like it's retesting and bouncing off it. What I do like also on the daily is that if we can get a good bullish close above this 50 EMA, I think it could come up definitely on the technical side towards this 200 EMA at around 3,200. With a good solid bullish close. So that's good.
Notice that both of you guys look at the capture of the EMA as a significant signal. Is that something you guys use in the analysis quite a lot?
I wouldn't say it's so much the capture. It's more of the it is the capture, but the way that we look at it is the candle close. All of the decisions that we're making are always based on closed candles, reactionary candles, not something.
That's exactly what I meant. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. By capture, I meant the candle closes above or below the EMA. That means it effectively, captures that level.
So everything is based on captures then. Yeah, absolutely. Like even if you were to look over into Bitcoin right now, it almost reclaimed to the 21. Pull that up, James, on the 15-minute real quick. Bitcoin just closed barely off the 21 EMA here. So this would be the first level where I would start to look to add some buys. Now, because it's so bullish today and because we have a lot of volatility, I'd piece myself in. I'd be looking to buy here. If we can break out past 45 today, I'd add another buy and see if we can ride that to 46. And then, like you said, those whole numbers start to come into play as we start to have bigger Bitcoin days. You start to see the $100 moves start to be less significant. The $1,000 moves are more significant. The $1,000 price levels are significant as well.
Interesting. Now, the other thing I noticed about both of you guys' charts is the candles are uniform. In other words, you don't have a red-green candles. Is that by design?
Yes. Yeah. So my thought behind that, and I've been pushing everybody on that, is the black with Forex and with most brokers, you don't have gaps. So you can read these as bullish or bearish candles if you know how to read candles. That removing the colors just makes it less for the FOMO. You see 3 big green bars, you might want to think to buy it there versus when we have black and we can just focus on all the other colors that we have, which is plenty, then we can kind of not feel that FOMO, not be.
That's a super, super interesting.
Try it out. Once you go black, you don't go back. Come on.
Yeah. I guess so. Taking a look at the scoreboard, guys, because we're coming up to the end of the show. It looks like Austin is a little bit in the lead because obviously James has been adding to his ETH. But as I said, these things change on a dime, and you're going to be holding these positions for a while. I mean, if ETH is 35, is 3,200 a couple of days forward. James going to look really, really good. So we're gonna monitor these accounts. Just remember, our sponsors ACAP are giving away a $500 trading account to all our fans on Instagram. Just make sure you follow us on Instagram, and you get free money. It's like a prop account without having to pass a test. So so go do it. ACAP has got is a great broker. We're very happy to have them as our sponsor. I want to talk just a little bit about your background and what you guys are trading for in terms of your charities before we end up. So Austin, what's your charity of choice, and kind of like any other thoughts about trading that you may want to share with me?
So we actually are both donating to the same charity. We're donating to Bloom. Actually, I guess is this the same one you're doing, James? Or are you doing
Yeah.
Amanda's school?
No,
Are you doing Bloom?
this is Amanda's school.
This is it? All right, cool.
Actually, it's very nice because there's no losers. Whoever wins.
Whoever wins, because this is a new
like
program that James put me onto, and his girlfriend works here, and just they're doing really great things with kids. So I was like, that's sick. Because with the big organizations, you always get people saying, well, where's the money going? So I'm like, let's do something small where we can actually see the impact,
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah.
James, what is this Bloom charity?
So Bloom is a special needs school out here in Ballito, South Africa. So they deal with kids with autism, cerebral palsy, stuff like that. And my girlfriend Amanda is got her honors degree in psychology, and now she's teaching at the school and working full time there. So I thought that would be and they need sponsors, and they do a lot of golf days, and that's trying to get as much money for these children as possible, because having a child like that is can be very tough on parents, and I think the school does a lot of good for these children.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really, really great. It's great to hear, great to see. Sounds like a really, really great charity. So any final parting thoughts of wisdom from both of you guys on trading, on prop trading? Just what have you learned? What do you think is something that you'd like to share? We'll start with James first.
Sure. I think the big one is persistence. You have to, you're not going to get it right the first time. I think just being confident and believing in yourself, because, at the end of the day, not many people are going to always believe in what you do when it comes to trading. They're going to say, they always got this skepticism. So I think just persistence and believing in yourself is always should be at the forefront of your mind.
Sounds good. What about you, Austin?
I would second what James said, and I would say to the traders who are trying to find consistency, if that word is what you're looking for, we could break down why that's not what you should be looking for, but that's a different episode. If you're looking to just improve your trading, get with somebody that's doing well already. That's going to shortcut your learning curve. Too many traders, I think, are closed-minded to mentorship. Mentorship is the shortcut to success. Put your ego aside, learn from everybody, even if it's what not to do, and that'll help you get to your goals faster.
100%. Look at me. I'm learning from you guys today.
We're learning from you.
I'm always about taking best.
And we appreciate you guys having us on and letting us do this. I know that the crypto is hot, so hopefully this gets some good attention on the page, and we're going to keep watching your channel. We love the battles, so hopefully maybe we'll come back on. I was thinking, let's do me and James versus two people we don't know and see how that goes.
We will definitely, trust me, guys. We're going to have you guys back, and we're definitely going to do a doubles. And it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. And I want to thank you both very, very much for hanging out with us today. Everybody, for the trading battle, this has been a wonderful edition. I hope you guys learned as much as I did. I certainly loved this episode. We're going to follow the results. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, and be sure to like us to be able to qualify for the $500 free account from ACAP. I wish you guys the best of luck, the best of trading. Boris Schlossberg for the Trading Battle, over and out.